Hello there. Get settled in now. Pull your covers up high and let your body feel heavy and warm. We are going on a long, slow journey to a quiet place called Whisperwood. Whisperwood was a village that loved things that made sense. The houses were sturdy stone, built in straight lines. The fields were organized into perfect squares. The people liked to know exactly when the sun would rise, exactly how much grain they had, and exactly what they were going to do the next day. Everything was neat, clean, and totally predictable. If you asked a villager, "What is the best way to live?" they would answer, "With a good schedule and a sharp pencil." But long, long ago, Whisperwood was different. It was called the Village of Woven Whispers, because back then, everyone had a small, quiet, helpful magic. This magic was not loud or fancy. It was the magic of easy comfort. If the fire wouldn't light quickly, the villager would just hold a thought of warmth and hurry in their mind, and the twigs would catch faster. If a basket weaver needed the tough grass reeds to bend easily, they would hum a soft note of softness and yield as they worked, and the reeds would become flexible like ribbons. It was a quiet magic that helped things along, making life smooth and gentle. But as time passed, the villagers got clever. They invented stronger metal tools and bigger wheels and quicker ways to do things. They learned that fire could be started easily with flint and steel. They found that soaking the reeds in hot water worked just as well as humming to them. They didn't need the quiet thoughts anymore. The simple, sensible tools did the work just fine. Slowly, the gentle humming stopped. The helpful thoughts were forgotten. The magic didn't go away. It just settled down deep into the earth and the trees, waiting to be remembered. Now, everyone in Whisperwood was very practical. But in the oldest cottage lived Grandma Alara, who was 92 years old. She remembered the warmth of the old ways. Every evening, she sat by her window and watched the moon rise over the biggest, darkest tree in the valley, the great ash tree, and quietly, just for herself, she would begin to hum. It was the old baker's hum, the one for softness and rise. And out in the field, one single tiny silver blue leaf on the great ash tree would always turn and catch the moonlight, as if nodding good evening to Grandma Alara's quiet, remembering tune. Asterisk, feel the gentle hum in the air around you. It is the sound of deep memory. Let it soften your edges. Rest now, we are just beginning our long, slow journey to sleep. Asterisk. Hashtag chapter 2. The well runs quiet. The sense of perfect, predictable life in Whisperwood started to feel a little uneasy one morning. The village well, which had given clear, cold water every day for hundreds of years, began to run low. At first, the mayor, Mr. Finch, checked his water schedule. "The water must be full," he declared. "The chart says so. There is no reason for it to be empty." But the next day, the buckets came up with just drips. And the day after that, the well was completely dry. Silence where there should have been the cool sound of water. This was a big problem. The sensible solutions, bringing ropes, lowering measuring sticks, and checking the weather, did nothing. The water was simply gone. The villagers decided they must dig deeper. It was the most sensible thing to do. They brought their iron shovels and worked hard, digging a deep hole into the dry, cracked earth around the well. They worked until their muscles ached and dust coated their eyelashes. But the earth was stubborn, stayed dry and silent. They were tired, thirsty, and confused. The practical solution had failed. Watching them from a short distance was a girl named Lumi. Lumi was quiet and always watching the small things. The way a bird hopped, the way shadows stretched. She wasn't good at ledgers, but she was good at seeing. She walked over to Grandma Alara's cottage. "Grandma," Lumi whispered, "the water is gone. The earth is empty. The shovels can't find the flow." Grandma Alara slowly rubbed a small, smooth, dark stone she kept on her windowsill. It was obsidian, the color of night fog. "They are trying to force the water, dear," she said, her voice like soft, dry leaves. But water comes when it is invited. We must use the Earth Whisperer. She showed Lumi the dark stone. It was shaped like a small whistle, but it had no holes. This whistle doesn't make a sound your ears can hear, Grandma Alara explained. It makes a sound the Earth's memory can hear. It hums the sound of deep rest and flow. Take this, Lumi. Go to the great ash tree. It is the only thing that remembers everything. Stand beneath its branches. Hold the whistle to your lips and don't blow. Just think the deepest, quietest hum you know. The one that says, be soft, flow easily. That will call the water back. Lumi looked at the simple, smooth whistle. It felt cool and important in her hand. She knew the villagers would laugh at this idea, but she also knew the village was getting dangerously thirsty. Asterisk, feel the coolness of the stone, the silent power of a gentle thought. Close your eyes and think of the earth taking a long, quenching breath. Everything is going to slow down now as Lumi makes her quiet journey. Asterisk. Hashtag chapter 3. The Earth's Gentle Sigh. Lumi waited until the village was asleep. The air was cool, and the only sound was the distant call of an owl. She walked slowly toward the great ash tree, holding the obsidian whistle close. The ash tree was enormous, a mountain of silence and shadows. Standing under it, Lumi felt very small, but also very safe. She closed her eyes and raised the dark whistle to her lips. She didn't try to make a sound with her mouth. Instead, she thought of Grandma Alara's low, warm hum. She focused on the feeling of gentle flow. She thought, asterisk, be soft, flow easily. Earth, remember your water. Asterisk. She held that quiet thought for a long time. It felt like her mind was a soft, steady candle flame, sending light straight down into the roots of the tree. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the great ash tree moved. It wasn't a sudden shake. It was a deep, quiet shiver, as if it were waking up from a long dream. The one silver-blue leaf that always watched Grandma Alara began to glow with a soft, misty light. And then, down in the dry, abandoned well, a sound started. Not a gush or a loud rush, but a sigh. A long, low, slow, gurgling sigh, as if the earth itself had stretched and let go of its stiffness. Lumi slowly lowered the whistle. She looked into the well. She didn't see a flood. She saw a small, deep pool of water, shimmering at the very bottom. It wasn't a lot, but it was perfectly clear, and it had simply appeared, welcomed home by the quiet hum. Lumi went back to the sleeping village, her heart full of quiet wonder. The next morning, the villagers were amazed. They lowered their buckets, and they came up half full. Then they lowered them again, and they were half full again. The water wasn't rushing wildly. It was flowing at a constant, steady, gentle rate. A rate that could not be calculated, but could be trusted. Mr. Finch, the mayor, still tried to be sensible. It must be a new, predictable underground spring, he declared. A scientific event. The villagers nodded. It was easier to understand when it had a scientific name. But every morning, the great ash tree looked a little bit taller, and the air around the well felt a little bit softer. They had not accepted the magic, but they had quietly accepted the peace it brought. Asterisk, let your own thoughts be a soft, gentle hum. Feel the slow, steady flow of water returning. It's a quiet, comforting rhythm. Let your breathing match that slow, steady flow. Asterisk. Hashtag chapter 4. The Firefly Comfort. The village continued its life, but now, when a problem came, the villagers hesitated before grabbing a shovel. They thought, is there a quiet way? The next problem was about darkness. One evening, a rough wind blew through the valley and shattered the glass on all the strong, practical iron street lamps in the village square. The square, the heart of the village, was now utterly, predictably dark. Ordering new lamps would take weeks. The village had to walk home by nervous candlelight. We need light. Strong, bright, sensible light," cried the villagers. Lumi, remembering the Earth Whisperer, went to Grandma Alara. Grandma Alara was sitting on her porch, surrounded by several empty glass jars. "The darkness is not a problem, dear," she murmured. "It is just a reminder to look with your other eyes. We need the light that already loves the dark." "Before the iron lamps," she said, "we used the firefly lanterns." She pointed to the jars. "The fireflies in the meadow are the woven whispers of light that escaped when we forgot the big magic. You don't trap the light, Lumi. You ask the light to stay. Catch a firefly and put it carefully in the jar. Then you must hum a low note of gratitude to it. A soft, warm sound that says, 'Thank you for your glow. Please rest here with me tonight.' And the fireflies will stay lit, steady and gentle, until the morning." It sounded completely silly, but Lumi took the jars and went to the meadow by the ash tree. She caught a handful of fireflies, placed them gently in a jar, and hummed the note of deep gratitude Grandma Alara had shown her. And as she walked back, something wonderful happened. The fireflies did not flicker or buzz. They began to glow with a steady, soft, buttery yellow light. A calm, unmoving light, like tiny stars held in a glass bottle. Lumi hung the jars on the broken lampposts. When the practical villagers saw the square that night, they gasped, not with surprise, but with a deep, quiet feeling of peace. The firefly light was not harsh or bright like the oil lamps. It was gentle. It made the hard stone houses look soft and welcoming. It was the light of comfort and dreams. Mr. Finch still tried to be sensible. "We must count how many fireflies are in each jar and calculate the exact number of hours they glow." But the light was too soft for counting. The magic was too quiet for calculation. The village sat together in the square that evening, bathed in the soft, ancient glow. They weren't talking about schedules. They were simply feeling rested just by looking at the light. Let your own light be soft and steady now. Feel the restful, buttery yellow glow behind your eyelids. Let it soothe every thought and feeling. Everything is quiet. Everything is gentle. Asterisk. Hashtag chapter 5. The hum of belonging. The well was flowing, and the square was glowing. The villagers were still sensible, but now they were also quietly content. They had learned that not all answers came from ledgers. But one final, simple problem remained: sleep. With all their planning, the villagers often had trouble sleeping. Their minds were full of tomorrow's calculations. Lumi went to Grandma Alara one last time. "Grandma, how can we silence the worries? How can we make the village sleep deeply and completely again?" Grandma Alara was already tucked into her bed, her eyes barely open. "The sleep song, dear," she whispered. "It's not about silencing the worries. It's about giving them a safe place to rest for the night. You must sing the hum of belonging." She explained that the sleep song was just one long, continuous, flowing, low note, the hum of home. If you sang it very slowly and filled it with the thought of safe here, the entire valley would feel itself gently tucked in. That evening, Lumi stood in the softly glowing square. She didn't announce anything. She just closed her eyes and began to hum. It was the low, warm note of the baker's dough, the deep sigh of the earth, the gentle thank you of the fireflies. It was the note of whisperwood. At first, only Grandma Alara's tiny, soft hum joined in. Then the old carpenter. Then the baker who remembered the feeling. One by one, the villagers, without being asked, softly joined the hum. Even Mr. Finch, the mayor, stopped worrying about his schedule and contributed a low, rumbling note. It was not loud. It was barely a sound at all. But it was powerful. It was the sound of everyone agreeing on one thing. We are here. We are safe. We belong. Asterisk. As the hum deepened, the great ash tree glowed one last time, a comforting, deep blue pulse. The fireflies shone even steadier. The worries in the villagers' heads didn't disappear. They just felt themselves cradled by the sound. They felt they had permission to rest until morning. The people of Whisperwood didn't become wizards. They remained practical. But they learned that the most reliable things in life are not the clocks and the ledgers. but the quiet thoughts and the gentle feelings you share. They remembered that magic was not something you did, but something you allowed to be. Lumi finished the hum, and the village fell into a silence that was not empty, but full of comfort and peace. And now, little one, you have heard the sleep song of Whisperwood. You have been wrapped in the hum of belonging. All your little worries have been given a safe, quiet place to rest until the morning light. You are here. You are safe. You belong. Asterisk sink deeper now. Let your breath slow down. Let the quiet magic of the forgotten village tuck you in completely. Sleep now, little one. Sleep now. Asterisk.